My name is Mia Yates. At 23, I work from home, managing my own schedule and space. My older brother, who is 5 years my senior, is engaged to Natalie, a vibrant 26-year-old whose personality is a stark contrast to mine. While I struggle with social interactions, Natalie thrives in social settings, easily making friends wherever she goes. Natalie has become quite close to our parents and often visits our house unannounced. Today was no exception. When the doorbell rang, my mom immediately knew it was Natalie and greeted her warmly. Natalie breezed into the living room, announcing, "I'm back," and then glanced at me with a look of surprise. "Ma, you're still here," she said without bothering with a greeting. I responded, "I'm working from home," but she dismissed my explanation with, "You need to get a real job." Feeling defeated, I retreated silently to my workspace. My room, a soundproof sanctuary that I designed and paid for myself, is my personal retreat. It's the one place in the house where I can truly unwind. The room is accessible only through a soundproof door and an additional interior door, ensuring my solitude. Once inside, I let out my frustration, shouting, "Why do I have to keep explaining myself?" Unable to confront Natalie directly, I found solace in venting my feelings in the privacy of my room, hoping it would help me move past the irritation. Around lunchtime, a small light on my desk began blinking, signaling that it was time for a break. I left my room and made my way to the dining table, where lunch was already laid out. My mom greeted me with a cheerful, "Let's have lunch together," and I took my usual seat, only to find Natalie sitting across from me with a scowl on her face. "How do you manage to be hungry when you don't even work?" she began, her tone harsh. "Don't you ever consider how to ease your father and mother's burden? You're like a parasite." I kept my head down, silently enduring her criticism. When my parents joined us at the table and said grace, I followed suit, feeling the weight of Natalie's disapproval. She was clearly upset with my parents for not reprimanding me about my job situation. "Your father and mother are too lenient with you," Natalie continued, her voice tinged with frustration. "I'm having a hard time feeling secure about marrying you to this family if things stay like this." My parents tried to reassure her with warm smiles, saying, "Don't worry, just marry into our family," but Natalie's concerns were far from quelled. "I can't be reassured," she persisted. "What if you two can't take care of Mia anymore? Am I supposed to look after her, or will my future children?" Her assumptions about me being a lifelong dependent stung deeply. I stopped eating, my gaze fixed on the table, as I mentally disagreed with her harsh judgments. Seeing the tension, my mother interjected, "Maya does work, you know. Please don't worry." But Natalie persisted. At 23, look at her, braided hair, thick glasses, and always in sweats. Who would believe she's working? I tried to defend myself softly. Appearance doesn't determine the value of work. This only seemed to infuriate Natalie further. "Well, what kind of job do you have then? Tell me." Her demand, coupled with her piercing glare, left me too intimidated to speak. It was my mother who came to my aid. "Maya's job is private, known only to our family. I'm afraid we can't discuss it right now." Natalie stood up abruptly, her frustration boiling over as she stormed out, exclaiming, "So, I'm not part of this family, is that it?" I felt a wave of embarrassment and apologized to my parents for the disruption. My father, trying to comfort me, said with a reassuring smile, "Don't worry about it, Mia. Just focus on what you love." Feeling slightly reassured, I resolved to enjoy the rest of the meal. I suggested to my parents that after my brother's wedding, I would find a way to explain my job to Natalie. They seemed to agree, their expressions softening as they acknowledged that it might be a good idea. After lunch, I returned to my work. In the evening, as usual, I went grocery shopping with my mom while my father took care of the garden, watering the plants and preparing for the harvest. When we came back from the supermarket, we were surprised to find Natalie in tears in the living room, with my father sitting beside her, offering comfort. Worried, my mom asked Natalie, "What's wrong? Why are you crying so much?" Natalie clung to my mother, sobbing uncontrollably and unable to articulate her distress. Noticing my father's concerned expression, I asked him what had happened. "I heard a loud noise coming from the house while I was in the garden," he explained. "I rushed inside and found these," he said, pointing to a crowbar and a hammer lying on the table. Realizing immediately what had occurred, I rushed to my room. When I reached the door, I was met with a shocking sight. The door was badly damaged, as though someone had tried to force it open with the tools. My heart raced with a mixture of fear and disbelief as I stood frozen, trying to process the scene. My father quickly contacted my brother, who was staying at the company dormitory. My brother promised to come over as soon as he could after finishing work. I decided to stay in my room until he arrived, needing the solitude to calm down. Once settled in my room, I called my company and received permission to explain to Natalie about my job after she officially joined the family through her marriage to my brother. As I saw the room light flicker, I realized my brother had arrived. When I stepped out, I was surprised to find him already at the door. I gasped and apologized. "Sorry for startling you." He looked at the damaged door with a troubled expression, clearly shocked by the extent of what Natalie had done. When I told my brother, "Don't worry about it, I'll replace the door myself," he shook his head and said firmly, "No, that won't do. Natalie will have to compensate for this." Taking my hand, he guided me to the living room where Natalie and my parents were waiting. As we entered, he confronted Natalie directly. "I had no idea you were capable of such violence," he said, his tone filled with disapproval. Everyone was taken aback by his rare display of anger. He demanded, "You need to apologize to Mia properly and make amends for the door." Natalie, tears streaming down her face, began apologizing with repeated, I'm sorry, but my brother cut her off sharply. "The apology isn't for me," he said, glaring at her. I tried to intervene, saying, "It's okay now," but he remained focused on Natalie. Feeling the weight of the situation, Natalie turned to me, knelt down, and apologized. "I won't do anything like this again. I will compensate for it." I accepted her apology, deciding to move past the incident. However, I was curious about why she had acted out, so I asked her. She responded, "I thought if I didn't have a place to hide, I'd be forced to work." Her answer made me consider whether I should disclose the nature of my job to her before the wedding. Though it troubled me, I knew it would breach company policy, so I chose to keep quiet for now. To ease the tension between my brother and Natalie, I retrieved 2 live concert tickets from my room and handed one to each of them. Seeing the tickets, Natalie's eyes widened in excitement. "These are for the Ames concert," she exclaimed, her face lighting up with joy. She turned to my brother and said eagerly, "Let's go." My brother looked at me surprised. "Are you sure? These are hard to come by." I replied with a smile. "I happened to get them. You can use them as a peace offering if you'd like." My brother's face brightened with delight, and seeing their happiness lifted my spirits as well. The atmosphere quickly improved, and everyone was able to put aside the earlier tension and enjoy the meal. On the day of the concert, while I was out, Natalie took the opportunity to visit my house. She came by to thank me enthusiastically, but since I wasn't home, she expressed her gratitude to my parents, saying, "Enjoy." Mia finally decided to start working outside the home, and it turned out to be a fantastic day. The concert was a huge success, and knowing that Mia had taken this step made me very happy. Before she left after the concert, I received a call from my brother, who had recently separated from Natalie following a company drinking party. He was still buzzing with excitement, saying that the concert was amazing and that Natalie was a huge fan of AIM. She had always lamented not being able to secure tickets for the annual concert, so seeing AIM perform was a dream come true for her. On her way home, Natalie was ecstatic, calling AIM adorable, beautiful, and praising her songs and lyrics. When I mentioned how pleased I was that we had made amends, my brother responded, "The soundproof door we replaced cost $7,000, it seems." I replied, "That sounds about right." He was taken aback, exclaiming, "That's expensive." I explained that the soundproof room involved high-quality components, which contributed to the cost, further surprising him. Natalie had admitted that the expense was a bit painful, but she felt the concert had made up for it. For me, seeing the door fixed and knowing that my brother and his friends were getting along made me feel really good about giving them the tickets. Despite the concert being a success, Natalie still didn't grasp the nature of my work-from-home job and mistakenly believed I had started working outside. Her realization of the mistake led her to start calling and visiting my house daily, insisting that I get a job. I had hoped to tolerate her demands until the wedding, but the situation only worsened. Even though I tried to avoid her until the wedding, Natalie frequently pushed the call light switch to my room. When summoned, I would leave my room and find her nagging me about getting a job before the wedding and her reluctance to accept a jobless person into the family. To divert her attention, I gave her various AIM-themed merchandise and file cases I had received from my previous company. At first, she accepted the AIM items with enthusiasm, but soon grew curious and asked, "Why do you have so much AIM merchandise?" Reluctantly, I explained, "A friend who works with AIM's company gives them to me." This answer seemed to please her, and she cheerfully requested, "Please get me more tickets next time." However, problems persisted. Natalie began demanding more merchandise and even tried to gain access to my room, which caused significant trouble. I managed to stop her a few times, but was worried she might damage the door again. Summoning my courage, I warned her firmly, Natalie, if you break the door again, it won't just be the door fee this time. Last time, I covered the repairs. Next time, you will be responsible for the cost. Her face went pale at my warning, and I wondered if she was truly considering it. All I could do was hope the wedding would come soon to free me from this ongoing stress. Even with the wedding approaching, Natalie's visits and the incessant call light continued without fail. I lost count of how many times I shouted enough already from my room. I tried discussing the situation with my brother, but he was resigned, saying, I've told Natalie 100 times that Maya is working, but she just doesn't seem to get it. I thought to myself, you should be as upset as you were when she broke my door. But my brother, busy with last-minute wedding preparations and stressed about the honeymoon, didn't offer much help. Left with no other options, I resigned myself to enduring the situation until the wedding was over. Finally, it was the day before the wedding. As expected, both of our parents planned to spend the day together, so we all enjoyed a nostalgic evening, looking through old photo albums and reminiscing about our childhood. When I mentioned, after I get married, my brother will have his own family, so it'll just be the three of us with our parents the day before the wedding. It feels a bit lonely, my brother reassured me. No, I'll come here and spend the day with you. I was relieved and pleased by his offer. In this peaceful moment, my brother's cell phone rang. It was a call from Natalie. He answered it and then handed the phone to me, saying, Natalie wants to talk to you. On the line, Natalie said, Hey, there's a big announcement coming from AIM tomorrow. Can you ask your friend who gives you the merchandise what it's about? I'm worried she might be quitting or going on hiatus. AIM's agency had teased some major announcement on social media, and Natalie was anxious about it. Not wanting to disrupt our relaxing family time, I replied, I don't know, and ended the call. My brother shared my sentiment and turned off his cell phone when our father suggested, We need to get up early tomorrow, let's head to bed now. As we prepared to end the evening, my brother expressed his gratitude, saying, Father, Mother, thank you for everything. From now on, I will be happy with Natalie. Mom responded with a smile, That's how it is when you get married. When my brother asked, Really? The family ended the night before the wedding with laughter and good cheer. Finally, the wedding day arrived. I informed my family that I would be arriving a bit later, so my parents and brother headed to the venue first. When I arrived later, I went to the waiting room to offer my congratulations to Natalie. Knocking on the door, I was greeted by Natalie, the stunning bride, who was sitting alone and fully prepared. Just as I was about to extend my congratulations, her demeanor shifted dramatically. Hey, she snapped. I still had something to say from yesterday when you hung up the phone. I apologized and asked what she needed. Her response was curt, You can go home now. I protested, but it's my brother's wedding. And she continued, I've told you many times. Why haven't you gotten a job? After everything I've said, I don't want people thinking you're part of the family. I tried to explain, but Natalie cut me off, coming close and insisting, If I say go home, you go home, and then slammed the door shut. Feeling crushed, I retreated to a reserved room. There, I had my makeup and hair done by professionals and changed into the cocktail dress I had bought for the wedding, preparing for an event I would not be attending. While I was getting ready, I received a call from my parents. I explained the situation, letting them know that although I wouldn't be present at the ceremony, I still wanted to celebrate from afar. As the ceremony began without me, I watched the event on a monitor provided by the venue. There was a moment when I saw my brother looking around for me, and I felt tears well up. But I reminded myself, today is for celebration, not sorrow, and continued to watch, sending my best wishes from a distance. After the entertainment concluded, the female MC announced, We have a special celebration video for the stars of today's event. Please direct your attention to the monitor. As the room darkened, a video began to play on the screen, eliciting cheers of excitement from the guests. On the screen appeared AIM, the singer Natalie adored, delivering a congratulatory message. Yes, it's me, AIM. Congratulations on your marriage, brother and Natalie. Natalie's expression shifted to one of shock as she turned to my brother, who seemed to be acknowledging, That's Mia. The video continued. I was looking forward to this day but couldn't attend due to urgent matters. After explaining my absence with a vague excuse, I added, Natalie, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, but I'm actually part of your new family. I'll be working overseas from now on, so you can pretend we're not related if you wish. Also, I wasn't a recluse. I was working in my home studio. Though I couldn't resist a hint of sarcasm, I ended with, I wish you happiness. As AIM, my stage name derived from spelling my real name Mia backward, I've built a following through social media. I work from home, recording and writing music for a talent agency. When the lights came back on, Natalie looked ghostly pale and utterly stunned. After my message was delivered, I left the venue with the hair and makeup team. Later, my brother called to tell me that after we left, Nahali had been frantic, searching for me among the guests. When she realized I had already gone, she broke down in tears behind the folding screen. I also heard from friends that Natalie has become known as the bride who isn't part of Aim's family, and my speech has gone viral on social media. Natalie now regrets her actions and has found herself avoiding going out in her neighborhood.